You're listening to the CDKL5 in Color podcast. It's June, and that means it's CDKL5 Awareness Month. We are doing things a little differently on the podcast this month. We're diving into some emotional topics and sharing insights direct from our peer caregivers. Our children who live with CDKL5 deficiency disorder are so loved, but life with CDKL5 is hard. So join us as we talk about it. Let's jump right in. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Marissa.
How are you?
I am enjoying some spring weather
Yeah.
and looking forward to chatting. We are here today to talk about support, and I am curious what support looks like for you.
Support is something I feel like I don't have enough of. Right now, realistically, the most support I get is from the school system. Gregory goes to school 5 days a week, full day. He has a one-on-one nurse and a one-on-one paraprofessional with him at school, so he gets a lot of attention. I'm comfortable with those people that are caring for him during the day. He loves school. He loves to be with other kids, and he's doing some really cool things. I get to read the Daily Note home every day from his backpack, and I'm really happy with all the things he gets up to during the day. So that's really what support looks like for me right now. Summer is coming, and the summer is really different than the school year. He doesn't have the same staff because his nurse and his para, they don't work in the summer. So he has different staff, and the summer program's only 3 days a week, and they're half days. So it's much less time, and it's only for the month of July. So then the month of August is totally open for me to fill the entirety of every day. So I'm really trying to get some nursing support at home because I would like to be able to take Gregory out in the summer to go to the beach and to go to the town pool and go to the parks and go to the zoo. And he's just too big, really, now for me to do that easily on my own. And we came off the wait list for the Medicaid waiver in our state a couple years ago. And it's been a couple years of me trying to get some nursing support at home and being unsuccessful. This is the closest I've ever been. I've actually had someone come out to my house to meet me and meet Gregory. So it's the closest I've ever been, and it looks like it's going to be a go. So I'm excited that I'll have some more support in the summer to help me get him out in the community and do fun things. Summer used to be my favorite season, but it's been hard, especially these past couple years as he's grown, and wheelchairs don't run over the sand well, and he's too big to carry by my arms now, and changing areas, a place to lay him and change him is always a challenge. So I think support for me just looks like someone to be there to help me. Sometimes just having somebody there to hand you something,
Mhm.
just to make something a little bit easier. Or I always tell the most ridiculous stories about my husband. I'll say, I need some support. And he'll go, Marissa, go, Marissa, go. But sometimes just having somebody else there to talk to you while you're doing something, it feels better than doing it alone. I mean, Gregory, that's one thing that's really hard for me about CDKL5 is that Gregory doesn't talk to me. He doesn't coo back at me. I spend so much of my day talking out loud for his benefit, tell her we're going to do this, or I'm going to do this, or now it's time for this. But I'm talking to myself.
Yeah,
It gets really lonely.
yeah. It's isolating at home.
Yeah. And, he doesn't give a lot of feedback. And that's not his fault, but it just is.
Maybe he's thinking, I wish this lady would zip it.
Yeah. He's like, lady, I know you're going to change my diaper. I know. You don't need to tell me every time. No, he's so sweet, but it's hard. So I think emotional support is somebody just being there to go through it with me. But then I think having somebody at home to share those tasks, not always having to be the one to change the diaper.
Even someone to clean the toilets. It's one thing my mom is good at doing is like, she doesn't ask, she just does things. And sometimes that drives me nuts, but sometimes I'm like, oh, wow, it's really nice to have a clean fridge, like, for
Oh,
example.
yeah. No, that's great.
Or a closet because she can't be idle while she's at my house. So I might go, and then if Ava's had a seizure and sleeps or something, then my mom does something. It's like a little fairy.
It's awesome.
Shouldn't laugh, but and then it makes me think, well, I should just pay a house cleaner. I used to have house cleaning come in, but honestly, it's also sometimes tough to if somebody's not around for the long haul. I'm at the point in my journey of caregiving that I don't have time to retrain people to do mundane things over and over again. If it's easier for me, I just do it. And that's not always the best approach.
Yeah.
It's a
Your mom is
double-edged sword.
awesome. That's awesome.
She is, but my mom's getting older. I mean, she's not old, but the physical burden of caretaking is going to become more than she can handle
Mm,
independently, right? I'm going to have somebody here to help her.
totally.
Um,
Yeah. What about you? What does support look like for you?
well, I have the same story about school being my biggest support, until she graduated last year. She is in a transition program right now. So I get 3 days where she's out doing transition stuff with a couple other kiddos. But for me, I really need some respite help. I need somebody who is skilled in some areas, like actually, when I think about it, very skilled. But I don't need somebody in my house all the time. For a long time, I could tag a para, or she does hypnotherapy at CSU. And so we would have a lot of college kids who were therapy students, and they would come and work for me in the summer through an agency under respite and get experience, like good experience. And it helped them do things like write essays and get into grad school, right? So as she's gotten older, it's been harder for me to find temporary help over the summer. And she's kind of at the cusp of, this is her last week in programming. She doesn't have an ESY option in transition. I have not placed her in a day program yet because, one, it's going to be a chore to get her to a day program. And two, they would like her to consistently go so many days a week throughout the year. And I can't really plan for that because I don't even know what days she's going to be in transition next year. So, with all of this being said, I sometimes, once I get her to bed, could even use somebody around. Right now, I use my other kid. So, if I need to leave the house or if I want to go do something, they're here with her. I am going to have to move towards having more consistent help with her as she gets completely out of the school system. I wish I had access to like a respite house or someplace where Ava could go and spend a week while I went with my mother on a vacation or something. And I wish I had access to maybe some consistent transportation opportunities for her once I find a place for her to go. Day programs are supposed to come with transportation, but it's possible the program that fits her will not transport her. So I'm starting to think about some of those kinds of things. I'll give you another one quick example of something that's really helpful for me right now is I have a couple dogs, you know my dogs, and my old neighbor is an RN. She's a triage nurse in the ER, and she comes still pretty regularly and walks my dogs because she doesn't want to get a dog for herself again. She's traveling and living life, but she loves dogs. So even though I do, some days I'm like, oh gosh, it's the end of the day. I've already got 10,000 steps under my belt and I have to walk these two beasts or they're naughty. And so that is something really small that benefits her and benefits me. And she just texts and is like, I'm coming. And I'm like, take them on. So those are things people, outside of the box things. There's times people bring like a meal to me and I don't have to think about that. And that's really helpful. I think anything that people with not living this life might find helpful to have a surprise with is always worth offering to families that have CDKL5.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes hard because people, you have friends and family that want to help you, but it's sometimes hard to figure out what it is that you could ask them for. And something that I've done recently is when Gregory's been ill at home and on sick plan and I'm not able to leave the house, but I need to get a prescription. I've reached out to a friend and, would you mind getting this prescription for me? And that was hard to do because, I hate for people to go out of their way for me. I hate that. But then I think to myself, I know I feel good doing something nice for my friend. So why couldn't I give that gift to my friend to be able
Mhm.
to do something nice for me? Because I know they'd feel good to do it. So
No, I
I
think
had them
I think there's
get
a lesson that we all need to think about is
yeah,
let people help and ask for help more often.
right.
Yeah,
Because I mean, it's so true. I love to be able to help my friends. It makes me feel good to help them. So why wouldn't they feel good to help me? They
right.
probably would. So why
They
don't I
probably
ask them
do.
for help? Can you go get this prescription for me, please? And then she brought me soup and fresh bread too at the same time, which I did not expect, but that was a nice treat. Anyway, so we posed this question to our community, right? Our community of peer caregivers that responded. What does support look like for you? And the responses we got really fell into three themes. The first theme being support looks like you really trying to understand my child, trying to get to know my affected child. That's supportive. Also, you helping me with concrete tasks. So the things we were talking about earlier, like doing laundry, bringing dinner, getting a prescription, those kinds of things feel like support. And a lot of people said just feeling understood and that you're giving me grace because you know I'm in a hard situation, that you have unconditional love for our family, that feels like support. So I wanted to share some of the things that people said that they wrote to us. So for the concrete help, this person said, help with the basic house stuff. So we have time to focus on the kids, help with dishes, help with laundry, all the things that get behind when you're trying to keep up with CDKL5 and comfort your kid after another seizure.
We also heard that real honest support would be learning how to care for my son and being able to step in, whether it's with lifting, tube feeding, managing seizures, interacting with him, whatever. I appreciate the encouragement I get, but to really, really support me, you've got to get in here with me.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of, I think, what I was trying to say is like, I need a respite person to come in and get down in it and actually enjoy their time with Ava. Not just sit with her, but engage her.
Yeah.
Your job isn't just to be here, it's to do something meaningful, whether it's, I don't know, just whatever it is your kid likes to do or that you learn they like at school, or is it music, is it art, is it, TV? I don't know. But
Hmm.
I don't want my kid to not have somebody engaging them when they're
Sure, yeah. And I think
helping.
those two different quotes are like two different things, and they're two sort of levels of ability to be there, right?
Mhm.
Doing basic things like laundry, cooking a meal, doing the dishes, like that's stuff everybody knows how to do. You don't
Mhm.
need to have any special
You don't.
training to know how to do any of that stuff that could be seen as supportive to a family living with CDKL5. The other takes more investment, right? It takes an investment of spending time and investment of time to really learn. The number one teacher of how to care for a kid with CDKL5 is time and experience, right?
Mhm.
Observing the kid, being around the kid. Like anybody can learn how to run a feeding pump, but understanding what feeding and positioning looks like for that kid, I mean, that's just from being around them.
Yeah.
So whether it's a hired person that's going to learn how to take care of your kid, or whether you're a friend or family that really wants to step it up and be like a super supportive superhero for that family, it's a matter of investing your time to learn enough so that you can provide some respite or concrete help with caregiving activities.
Yeah. You have to get through some of them uncomfortable times before everybody's a little bit more comfortable. Like, oh gosh, this happened. Texting, what do I do? And I think that's okay. I would rather be away for a short time and have you ask me 20 different things than have you not say anything and never come back
Oh,
because it was
totally.
traumatic because you didn't know what to do and I didn't
Right.
prepare you. And, you can only communicate so much of this stuff like
Yeah.
concretely. It has to be an observed
Yeah.
situation.
Once you get your
Someone.
first seizure under your belt.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. People have to get past seizures. I am so deconditioned. Like, I don't know.
Mhm.
That's a good point. You have to um, prepare people for that, I guess.
Yeah. It's part of what the life. It's part of knowing who you're caring for, is knowing what that looks like.
Yeah. And back to just do it. Like, just show up with a meal. They can put it in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
If you're listening as somebody supporting a family with CDKL5, I think if you sat down and thought, you could probably find some creative ways to surprise them. Mow the lawn. Like, can you help them scooping snow? Sometimes I wake up to my driveway being scooped and I so appreciate it. And sometimes I don't even know who did it for me. I
Yeah.
think any help is welcome.
Mhm. Definitely. One of the other themes was really understanding and getting to know the child themselves as a unique person. So this person said, spending time with our child and getting to know them beyond just the disorder and treating them like every other kid is what feels supportive.
And this individual said, the people that love our daughter unconditionally, they don't treat my daughter as different from others or talk to her like an infant.
Mm,
Yes, that is good. What is age appropriate for your child's age is something you should expect, or I do from others now. Ava doesn't want to watch cartoons. And if your kid does want some of these things, that's okay. But Ava laughs at humor that's appropriate for her age. We have cuss words on her device that she has to work really hard to get to, but they're there if she wants to put the effort in. That's like meeting them where they're at. That's a good quote to think about, especially for people on the outside.
Yeah.
They're humans just like you. And sometimes I feel like people get really stuck on that. I mean, it's hard for people. I want to have some empathy, but I mean, at the end of the day, they can hear and feel. And
Right.
so just take it from there, there's and ask what's uncomfortable or seems uncomfortable to ask. I'm never upset with someone who says like, why is she making that noise? Or is she upset? Like sometimes
Mm.
people are just like, is she upset? And I'm like, no, she's stimming and you might have to hear this for the next 3 hours. That's why we don't fly on planes. But
No, I think, when you're someone who doesn't speak and doesn't engage in a typical way, it feels challenging to get to know them.
it's
And
intimidating.
it's intimidating. And I think us as parents, or I'll just speak for myself, it's difficult for me. And I'm his mom, It's difficult for me. And I think a lot of people will greet Gregory and acknowledge that he's there. And that's sort of the extent of the interaction. And I don't blame them because they're not getting a lot of feedback from him. But when people take the extra time to continue the interaction despite not getting the feedback that typically is what encourages you to continue an interaction with someone, it feels really nice that like they're really understanding him.
Yeah. And I mean, Ava, if she gets the feeling that you don't expect anything from her or think that she's present, she stonewalls people. But those people who get in and get to know her, like they're funny. They have funny relationships. I learn things about Ava from therapy that I'm like, huh, have to play that kind of music more, whatever the case. But yeah, I mean, it's intimidating. And I think I don't have a problem letting things fly out of my mouth. You know that. So I sometimes am probably over prescriptive, right? Like you could do this, you could do that. And so part of my trying to facilitate more relationships with Ava is trying to kind of step back and be quiet and let people try to build that repertoire, themselves. So
Yeah,
there's a fine line and all of our kids are different. But I think at the end of the day, just because they cannot respond doesn't mean they're not listening. And I even look, Ava does a lot of eye blinking. Like, so she may acknowledge you in a way that you're not thinking about.
yeah,
And that's I mean, the more time you spend around her, the more people recognize those kind of interactions.
sure. Because it's subtle, right? The
Yeah.
subtleties.
Yeah.
And it does take the time and the experience
Well, and I
to
think
pick up on the subtleties.
the repetition too, then they know they're like, oh, I'm pretty sure that's what that kid's saying because this is appropriate to each situation I've encountered.
Yeah. And then the last theme that really came out was about sort of giving grace to the family to recognize that, this is a difficult situation to be raising a child with a rare disease like this, and being shown unconditional love and understanding feels really supportive to people. So I'll read what people wrote. This person said, when people consider what they can do to make our life easier or make an experience easier or more comfortable for us, feel supportive.
Also, I love when people ask questions and really get to know what is going on. There are only a few people in my life outside of my husband and I who truly understand what we are going through, and I am so grateful they have taken the time to empathize with us.
Someone else said, whether we need the help or not, knowing there are people in your corner.
And we have another person who told us someone who is there for our family and listens to us, the people that love our daughter unconditionally.
Yeah. So that idea of being seen and reaching out to say, whether it's, in certain gestures or actually saying so, to let families know that they're really trying to understand their experience and be helpful and caring and loving as much as they can. And even if that's just knowing that they're there for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big life change, and your social life really morphs into something a little bit different. So I think also people need to give caregivers grace. I don't commit to very many things anymore because if I commit to something, it's almost like Murphy's Law. Something comes up, and I have to be like, I said I would be there, and I can't. And, we want to be there just as bad as you want us there when you invite us to things, but you can't make some things happen. So just keep in mind you're a friend of somebody who's just, especially just starting this journey, that we want to continue to do and be part of things, but our life reality is that we can't show up the way we used to.
It's hard to maintain friendships with people. And we've talked about this many times, where your lived experience is so different from their lived experience. But those friends where they're able to call you and you listen to their stuff and they listen to your stuff, even though it's not anywhere near the same stuff, because you just care about each other, those friendships will maintain.
Yes, the ones where you can go a long time without big details and pick up right where you left off.
Yeah.
Like a few friends from my grade school days that live
Mhm.
miles away from me, but we can pick up just like yesterday, and they know
Yeah.
my situation and they're not afraid to ask about it.
Right. And it doesn't feel like a burden to share, to unleash on them. I
Exactly.
mean, and I know not everybody is fortunate enough to have friendships like that. I wish everybody did, because that does feel like support. I can unleash to you what's burdening me, what's in my heart, what's happening, because I know, even though you don't understand, because you can't identify, but that you're willing to listen,
Yeah.
and that is enough.
Yeah, the people that listen and then say, "That's tough." They're
Yeah,
not trying to fix it. They're not trying
right.
to, because they know there's no fixing this, but just like, "Girl, you needed a few extra beers this week. I mean, I'm sorry that happened to you." Like, just truly them not being burdened by it, but also to be vulnerable about some of these things with people who don't live it. It's really a big step.
If you want to know how to support your loved one, your friend, your daughter, your coworker, whoever, you want to know how to support them in their life with CDKL5, I would encourage you to ask them, and ask them in a way where it's not easy for them to say, "Oh no, I'm fine." Ask
Exactly.
them, "I want to do something for you and I was thinking this or this. Which one would
Yep.
you rather?" I think sometimes emotional support, even though we have so many things on our list to get done that are like tasks, sometimes emotional support is just as, if not more, helpful.
Yes. Sit with me.
Yeah.
Bring a coffee.
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
short times even. It's nice outside now. It's getting the beast, summer. Hit them up in the morning. And you can't say no if your friend comes knocking on the door, right? With
Right. With a nice coffee.
coffee or um
Well, I'm glad we got to chat about this. We have 3 more episodes coming out for our June awareness episodes, and I look forward to sharing more about what people have told us.
yeah, this life is journey.
Mhm. All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. We hope you'll follow us on social media at CDKL5 in color on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and visit us online at www.cdkl5incolor.com. Have questions or a topic you'd like us to chat about? Would you like to be a guest on our podcast? Email us cdkl5incolor@gmail.com, and we'll be in touch. Until next time.